and standing constituencies that we had issues, particularly the attitude we are up to speed of where we are after our press conference on Wednesday. But before we proceed to give you details of today's press conference, I also want us to acknowledge the presence of some key party stalwarts who are with us here this morning. On my extreme left is Evans Nimako, who is the Director of Research and Elections for our party. Next is Mr. Gary Nimako, Director of Legal Affairs. We also have Chairman McMenu, who was the chairperson for our electoral affairs for campaign 2024. We have the majority leader, Honorable Afenyo Markin, sitting on my right. We also have Honorable Obi Amwa, who's also part of the electoral affairs committee. Then the regional chairman of Greater Accra, Chairman Divan, is also here. Our Director of Finance and Administration, William Yamwa. The third Vice National Chairman, Alhaji Masawood, is also here. The youth organizer, Salam Mustafa, is also here with us. And we also have our parliamentary candidates, some of our parliamentary candidates affected constituencies that will be showing more details in our press conference. We have Honorable Ekuye, our parliamentary candidate for Ajima Prempe, our parliamentary candidate for Ahafano North. Elvis Oseme Sadapa, our parliamentary candidate for Ahafano Southwest. And Abanga Yakubu, our parliamentary candidate for Aowi. Ladies and gentlemen, the new patriotic party, per our tradition, our concerns through due process. And anyone who knows our history will agree with me that whenever we have issues, whenever we feel something are not going right, we don't resort to violence. We always make our case known to the Ghanaian public so that at least they will hear our side and also be informed of what is really happening. Like I indicated to you last week when we did the press conference about how the NDC were creating chaos in various coalition centers. Afterwards, the Electoral Commission moved the coalition center for some constituencies to the police training school at Tesano. And through to that, we were able to resolve issues in 3 constituencies, namely Sumum, Akwetia. But the process also has come to a stalemate or standstill because typical of the NDC, they didn't want the process to go on. So today, this press conference will be led by the Electoral and Legal Affairs Committee of the New Patriotic Party to give accurate and more detailed account, what we refer to further and better particulars of the outstanding constituency, so that at least the whole of Ghana, through your medium, get to appreciate the issues at stake, and also to let you know that as a political party, our next line of action. And I can assure you, all the seats that are remaining, that we in the New Patriotic Party strongly believe, based on our coalition that we won, that seat, whether today, tomorrow, next week, 1 month, what is due us will be given to the New Patriotic Party through fair means. So at this juncture, I will invite Mr. McMenu to brief us and do the press conference on behalf of the New Patriotic Party. Thank you very much.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the press. The leadership of the New Patriotic Party is pleased to welcome you to the party's national secretariat for the crucial engagement and commend you for honoring our invitation at such a short notice. The essence of today's media engagement is to furnish you with the details of unfolding developments at the various collation centers for the outstanding constituencies and the state of the party's official position on all such matters. The NPP has with great concern taking notice of the NDC's crude strategy of sending their party hoodlums to disrupt ongoing collation of parliamentary election results in constituencies that they know they have lost. The modus of operandi of these hoodlums, with the consent of the NDC leadership, is to visit the collation centers and undertake the following lawless acts: destroy all pink sheets they could lay their hands on, destroy ballot boxes and other election materials, beat up electoral officers and party representatives who challenge them, threaten the life of any person who disagrees with them, chase out members of the National Election Security Task Force, and take charge of the collation process. Ensure the collation is aborted when they realize that their candidate has lost, and compel the returning officers to declare NDC parliamentary candidates as winners of the parliamentary elections. These infractions have been recorded during the collation of the parliamentary election results for the following constituencies: 1. Ablekuma North; 2. Okankwe Central; 3. Tema Central; 4. Domiko Abenya; 5. Ahafuano North; 6. Obuasi East; 7. Ahafuano Southwest; 8. Akwatia; 9. Sukum; 10. Fantiakwa North; 11. Nsawam Adwachi; and lastly, but not the least, Techima South and Aoi. The question many will ask is, why will anybody who claims to have won an election be interested in destroying the most crucial evidence, in this case, pink sheets and ballot papers, that will confirm his victory? The person who has claimed to have genuinely won an election should rather be interested in protecting the pieces of evidence that will prove that he has indeed won. It is thus not in doubt that the only reasonable conclusion that can be drawn from the lawless conduct of the NDC leadership and their party tax all desperately seeking to destroy all of evidence in order to make it impossible for the victor to prove his victory. On the parliamentary election, details of infractions in each constituency. 1. Of the NDC, who obtained 34,189 votes. We have scanned all the 281 pink sheets issued to us by the presiding officers of the various polling stations before transporting them to the EC Collation Center. Despite knowing that they have lost the parliamentary elections in Ablekuma North, and the records on the pink sheets The NDC and their parliamentary candidates are refusing to accept the reality and to respect the will of the people of Ablekuma North as expressed at the polls. They are still desperately seeking to mislead their supporters and the general public into believing that they won the election. Further to this, the NDC tried every possible means to destroy pink sheets, which are the primary records of the view of the vandalism that occurred at the collation center by the NDC hoodlums. The EC was unable to continue with the collation exercise at the constituency collation center. Consequently, the EC invited the parties to the EC Regional Collation Center at Ridge on Monday, 9th December 2024 to complete the collation. A total of 214 polling station results were collated after verification and authentication by all the parties, leaving 67 pink sheets, which were to be collated on Tuesday, 10th December 2020. Pink sheet before making any declaration as required by Regulation 43 of CI 127, a position that was strongly supported by the NPP's parliamentary candidate and her agents. The NDC would, however, have none of that, as they insisted that their candidate, Barbara Orbin, had won and should be declared as such. This resulted in a misunderstanding, whereupon the NDC reps invited their party thugs, who had massed up at the EC Regional Collation Center, to force their way into the collation center, having overpowered the security and destroyed facilities belonging to the commission, the electoral commission. As widely captured in videos that are in circulation, the NDC thugs threatened to beat the returning officer and kill him if he failed to declare their candidate as the winner. Fearing for his life, Mr. Vincent Obin, the returning officer, gave in to their demands, except that because he had not finished with the collation, he could not and did not mention any figure or percentages obtained by the candidate. Can we see the video?
Where you have the video.
Was on City TV. Okay, let me continue. We'll show you them. The returning officer, in response to okay, the returning officer in attack and please the voice. All right, thank you. The returning officer, in response to what the NDC hoodlums had ordered him to do amid the threat of his life, only said, "I declare you as a winner." without even mentioning the name of the candidate or the number of votes obtained by any of the candidates as required by law. Equally, the parliamentary results collation sheet for 1C and parliamentary results summary sheet for 1D could not be filled as required by regulation 43(1)B of CI 127. Additionally, the returning officer could not issue out the rate for 1B as required by regulation 43(1)G. I pose this question: that if your hand is raised that you have won an election and you go to the house, what are you going to show to your wife or your husband that you have won an election? There must be a documentary proof. So if your hand is only raised that you have won an election and you go home, what are you going to tell your wife or your husband? But what are you going to show him or her that you have won an election? The processes are documented in Revelation 43 of the CI. So if it's incomplete, it's incomplete. So that's for Madame McCreary and Abdulrahman North. 2, we move on to Tema Central constituency. Data on the face of the pensions for all the 148 polling stations in Tema Central shows clearly that the NPP parliamentary candidates, Charles Forster, won the parliamentary elections for the constituency with 55 votes difference. He obtained 18,870 votes to beat the NDC's candidate, Eddie Bright, who polled 18,815. When the NDC realized that they had lost, they sent their party thugs to disrupt the coalition exercise. These thugs overpowered the security and ran amok at the coalition center, injuring innocent people in the process. This compelled the Tema Metro EC director, Mr. Ofosumini Manasseh, to call for a suspension of the coalition in view of the prevailing chaos and other security concerns. The coalition resumed on Monday, 9th December, at the Tema Regional Police Command, which was again disrupted by the NDC thugs, who stormed the coalition center in their hundreds and overpowered the police. The thugs took charge of the coalition process and ordered the EC to declare their parliamentary candidate, Eddie Bright, as the winner of the elections, when it was left with 2 pink sheets to complete the coalition process. The NDC knew very well that when the results of the 2 remaining polling stations are added to what had been collated for the candidates, the NPP parliamentary candidate, Charles Forster, will beat their candidate by 55 votes. The polling station codes of the 2 outstanding stations and votes obtained by the 2 candidates are code C231309B, NPP 170 votes, NDC 103 votes. The second polling station outstanding is C231707. And here, NPP got 279 votes and NDC 173. When the returning officer for the constituency resisted the attempt to compel him to declare the NDC candidate as the winner of the election, the NDC brought in a staff of the Electoral Commission from a different constituency, Tema West, to do the declaration for the Tema Central without the inclusion of the 2 remaining stations. Here too, the Form 1B, 1C, and 1D were all not filled by the officer as required by the law. They used an A4 sheet to fill the statutory form. Show them. You have the video of the A4 sheet. All right. So that is what happened at Tema Central. We now move on to Okaikwe Central constituency. The NPP candidate and incumbent MP for Okaikwe Central constituency, Honorable Patrick Iyakwama won the parliamentary elections with a vote margin of 1,446 votes. NPP candidate Honorable Patrick Iyakwama obtained 20,229 votes as against NDC's Baba Sadiq, who polled 18,783 votes, with only 3 polling stations remaining. The records show that even when all the votes in the 3 polling stations are added to the NDC's candidate, it will not offset the vote difference. This is important. Even when all the 3 outstanding polling stations are added on to the NDC candidate, it would not offset the vote difference. At this moment, the collation process was disrupted by the NDC tax, who stormed the collation center and sought to destroy critical electoral materials, including pink sheets, essential for verifying the result, took control of the collation process and threatened the EC's officials to declare their candidate as winner, resulting in chaotic scenes which led to suspension of the constituency collation. The parties were invited to the EC Regional Collation Center on Monday, 9 December 2024 to complete the collation process. The NDC insisted that they would not accept the continuation of the collation and demanded that the EC should declare their candidate as winner of the parliamentary election. Under visible duress, the returning officer excluded the results from 31 polling stations and declared the result based on only 110 polling stations. This action is inconsistent with the electoral laws as it excludes legitimate votes cast by constituents and fails to reflect the true outcome of the elections in Okaigwe Central. The NDC's disagreement was based on alleged issues with certain polling stations. The attack stormed the electoral EC collation center and coerced the returning officer to declare. And here too, we have video footage to corroborate these incidents of vandalism and physical abuse of the electoral staff. I don't think we can show the footage.
This one is applicable. No.
All right, so let's go to the 4th one, Domi Kwabenya constituency. We will share these videos with you. During the collation at Domi Kwabenya constituency collation center, the NDC hoodlums attacked the collation center, destroyed electoral materials on site, bent ballot boxes, thereby truncating the collation process. The returning officer informed parties to leave the collation center on account of the security challenges, which made it impossible to continue with the collation. The returning officer assured the candidates and their agents that she would communicate a new venue for the continuation of the collation. We are however hearing that there was a purported declaration of results under duress, and that too in her absence, contrary to requirements of Regulation 43 of CI 127. Equally, the parliamentary results collation sheet from 1C and parliamentary results summary sheet from 1D was not filled as required by Regulation 43 1B, 1 and B of CI 127, and the rate of declaration for 1B was also not issued as required by Regulation 43 1 and G. The NPP candidate or his agent have still not been informed of the new venue for the continuation of the collation, contrary to the assurances given by the returning officer during the raid by the NDC tax. Well, we can report that based on our own collation, the NPP parliamentary elections in Domi Kwabena, and are confident that when EC resumes collation, our position will be vindicated. 5. Ahafwano North constituency in Ashanti region. The NPP parliamentary candidate, Honorable Eric Nana Ajimai Pepe, won the parliamentary elections with a margin of 121 votes, as per data collated from all the 140 polling stations by the party. The NPP's candidate, Nana Ajimai Pepe, has hard copies of all the 140 positions. That puts him at 20,353 votes, as against NDC's candidate at 20,232. I believe we all have witnessed what we call NP3 in Demaris sometime. So if somebody wins with the difference of 1, he has won. After all, the law says first past the post. During the collation by the EC at the Constituency Collation Center, NDC TAC stormed the collation center at Tepa SHS and began destroying and burning electoral materials, particularly pink sheets, computers, and ballot papers, as well as property of the Tepa SHS, including rubber blades, benches, and tables. He also manhandled NPP representatives and PC officials. These violent conducts by the NDC TAC, who had overpowered the police, prompted the intervention of the military to save lives and property. The NDC hoodlums did not only attack the collation center, but they also proceeded to launch an attack at the residence of the NPP parliamentary candidate, Honorable Eric Nana Ajimai Pepe, bent his vehicle and attacked his warehouse, stole his items, and attacked his radio station. There are video footage in wide circulations that captured all these attacks. These issues have since been reported to the Ghana police, and an arrest warrant has been issued. The videos are there, and we need copies of it. The question many will ask is, since when has it become an offense to contest a parliamentary election? After collecting the polling station results for all the 115 polling stations, the NPP parliamentary candidate obtained 18,558 votes, as against NDC's 18,539. Strangely, the returning officer, the police, and the NPP candidate, at the threat of their life, succumbed to the unlawful demands of the NDC hoodlums, who had besieged the collation center and took charge of the constituency collation process to swap the election results. And we have that. Is that ready to show them? They swapped the results that I had made. And then we announced that. Okay, they gave them NPP's candidates to that of Kwasi's. They just canceled. They canceled the first one, which we have, and the best. What is it? They swapped the results in favor of the NDC.
You know the candidate and ask him to sign for that. But he prefers dining or going to parliament.
Number 7, Ahafwano Southwest, also in Ashanti. Results from all the 103 polling stations indicate that the NPP's candidate, Elvis Oseme Sadapa, obtained 16,058 votes, as against NDC's candidate, who polled 15,376 votes. As usual, the NDC hoodlums attacked the collation center and in the process killed one of our supporters. We have all our pink sheets intact, and that shows clearly that the NPP parliamentary candidate won the parliamentary elections by 686 votes margin. 686 votes margin. The EC invited the parties to its regional collation center on Monday, 9 December 2024 at 10 a.m. The EC collated all the results from all the 103 polling stations, filled the Form 1C as well as the Form 1D. But due to threat on his life, he opted not to declare the final result. So this is the situation at Mahakwano Southwest. Now we go to Bono East, number 8, Techima South constituency. Collation from 279 out of a total of 282 polling stations indicate clear that Honorable Martin Kwaku Ajayi Mensah, the NPP parliamentary candidate, obtained 46,468 votes as against NDC's Christopher Mayari, who polled for the 3,365 votes. Two other candidates in the parliamentary elections obtained 225 votes. The constituency coalition was disrupted by NDC elements and has since not resumed. The next one is Eastern Region and someone Adwaji. Data from all the 202 polling stations show that the incumbent MP, Honorable Anodombre, has won the parliamentary election. The EC's coalition at the Constituency Coalition Center was disrupted by the NDC. The EC's arrangement to continue with the coalition at the regional level in Koforidua was also disrupted by the hoodlum, compelling the EC to relocate the coalition to the police training school at Tessa, based on security considerations. Leader will want to add something because he was present.
Friends from the media, I want to explain something that happened at Tessa. Honorable Obiagwa and my good self were there as representatives from the party headquarters. On that day, that was a Thursday, last week Thursday, we had 4 constituencies: Fantiakwa North, Akotia, Suhum, and Nsawam Adweji. The first collation to be completed for the day was Fantiakwa North. When we got that done, we came to Akotia, which we also successfully completed, and it was declared. Then it was left with Nsawam Adweji and Suhum. Both were being done. Now, for Suhum, there was another go-slow. The NDC at every stage tried to disrupt. Eventually, they rejected 6 polling station results, and we accepted that if they've rejected, they don't want it to be part, that is fine, because it was still giving us a win of over 1,500. Then they tried to use the independent candidate agent to frustrate the process. In fact, eventually, the NDC leaders who came there, led by the famous Alfred Oyomi, told me and Honorable Obiagwa that they want to negotiate for us to allow the declaration of Suhum, and that their foot soldiers were amassing outside, and that if all 4 constituencies are declared for us, they will kill them. Very sad. Eventually, when we said no, we have to continue with the process, and we completed the Suhum process where Suhum was declared, they tried another go-slow on Nsawam Adweji. Each one of them that came said, "Oh, you say, I'm not on premium. I am farmer." Where does this happen? Eventually, when the EC official decided to continue the process, the NDC, led by Alfred Oyomi, came into the collation center and said that, okay, their computer was not working, so we should give them 2 hours to charge their battery. As at 1 a.m., when they had gotten 3 hours to charge the so-called battery of the laptop, they said they were tired. Meanwhile, their candidate walked in. The candidate for Nsawam Adweji walked in. And we said, okay, if you are tired, the candidate himself was there. Meanwhile, Honorable Anodombre had been there the whole day. What next? The EC official After another 1 hour of unnecessary disruption, he said he was tired, he was feeling sleepy, and that we should do it at 6 a.m. the following day, Friday. We all slept there. Well, by the way, I left around 4 a.m. to shower, and I came back around 7 o'clock. Around this time, the General Secretary was also there, but the candidates, Honorable Anodom Bread, and his agent slept there. At 6:30 thereabout, collation resumed. Around 8 o'clock, they started the agenda again. Will not allow, will not allow. Then around 8:30, their counsel came in, Honorable Mr. Etuji Tamadu, claiming that he had in his possession an injunction order from the court, only to find out later that they will use a delay tactics to file an application. They had filed a writ in court, that is a candidate for NDC had filed a writ in court with an injunction application, which they were seeking to serve the Honorable Anodom Bread and EC. So clearly, these are not Democrats. Whereas Dr. Bawumia conceded defeat even before EC's official announcement. They were not ready to accept defeat in these constituencies that is. They were not ready to concede defeat where they knew clearly, because their posture was that they won't allow the process to continue. And then, in fact, on Friday itself, after they have successfully gotten the Anodom Press constituency collation disrupted, then they came to the others. The police had arranged collation tables for the other constituencies. In fact, Techiman South has started. They were collating. Ahafano Southwest, we had their table. We had Obuasi East. And all the Ashanti region seats were supposed to be collated. And then the following day, Saturday, was for Greater Accra. They deliberately disrupted and then used social media to threaten the police, whereupon the police felt that they could not provide security, in spite of EC's insistence to continue the work. In fact, on Friday afternoon, it was the police that actually instructed the EC to stop the collation process. I repeat, on Friday afternoon, it was the police that instructed EC to stop the process of collating the results because it was not sure of its ability to provide security. And you recall that was when the deputy communication officer, I don't want to mispronounce his name, had issued threats, had commanded 5,000 people to meet at the police training school. It's all on social media. So our appeal to the international community, civil society organizations, the media, and all lovers of democracy is to show interest in these outstanding constituencies and give the EC every moral support to proceed to make these declarations. Again, we are encouraging the Electoral Commission that pursuant to their own statement they issued and their press conference on the evening of Friday to proceed to collect and declare these results. Thank you very much.
Thank you, so I continue from here. Our win constituency in Western North region. Records from 181 polling stations indicate that the vote difference between our candidates, Abanga Yaku, and the NDC candidate is 103 votes in favor of the NDC candidate. However, we have learned of some major infractions at some polling stations, which the party is still investigating. Other outstanding constituencies. Collation processes in Sukuni, Fatiakwa North, and the Kwetiak constituencies were botched because of some security challenges occasioned by the NDC supporters and hoodlums besieging the respective constituency collation centers. The EC's arrangement to continue with the collation at the regional level was also disrupted by the hoodlums, compelling the EC to relocate the collation to the police training school at Tesano based on security contributions. Just as a leader has just mentioned. Subsequently, these collations have since been completed under a serene environment and the results declared. True to our case, all the results were declared in favor of the NPP parliamentary candidates. The point must be made that this is not the first time in the history of this country's election that we have been confronted with an issue where there has been a continuation of a disrupted constituency collation or recollation. I think this point is very important, ladies and gentlemen. It should be recalled that in the year 2004, the parliamentary results in two constituencies was initially declared for the NPP candidate, King David Amoy. However, upon recollation of the results based on the pin sheet provided by the NDC candidate and his agents, the EC, under the then chairman, Dr. Kwadwo Afrejan, reversed the results and declared the NDC candidate as the winner. So it has happened before in the electoral history of this country. The point must also be made that the position of the law is that once a proper and regular declaration has been done by the EC, the only remedy available to an aggrieved party, apart from resorting to alternative dispute resolution, ADR, pursuant to Court Act, and ADR is to go to the High Court for redress under Article 99(1) of the 1992 Constitution. However, with the seat that the NPP is contesting, no declaration, offering so-called, was done. So the declaration has not been done. Who can ask us to go to court? No. It's for the EC to recollect, as it did in the year 2004, under Dr. Afrejan, at two constituency in the now Bono East region. But the EC itself has issued a statement, a press conference, that there's no declaration. How does the NDC expect the EC to accept election results that are not fully collated and declared? It is pretty obvious that the NDC leadership and their supporters who stormed the collation centers to compel the EC under the threat of death to declare their candidates as winners have labored in vain, because we are a country of rule of law, not rule of men. EC's response: it is not surprising that at a press conference held on Friday, 13 December, the Electoral Commission, through its deputy chair, Mr. Samuel Tete, stated emphatically that there was no declaration of the Abekumatu North, Domeko Abenya, Emma Central, Okaikwe North, Ahafuano North, Ahafuano Southwest, Obuasi East, Techiman South, and so on at Wajiri constituency parliamentary results, because the collation was incomplete. Indeed, the Commission has maintained that all purported declaration of parliamentary results made under duress, as foreseen in those constituencies, are not in conformity with laid down processes enshrined in CI 127, hence illegal, and will not be upheld by the EC. Conclusion: it is therefore our expectation that the EC would immediately resume the collation exercise. We implore the National Election Security Task Force to provide adequate security to facilitate peaceful collation under a serene environment. We are also calling on the NDC leadership to rein in on their supporters. We are very certain that our parliamentary candidates in the above-mentioned constituencies won the elections based on verifiable data from the pink sheets, as we have demonstrated. We urge the EC and all stakeholders to, in the interest of democracy, peace of our dear country, take immediate steps to give effect to the will of the voters in these constituencies, as expressed in the December. I thank you.
so clean sheet a yɛkɔto aba electoral commission ɛde ma political parties no ebi ka ne